sit up, yeah. You sit up, yeah. You.
Scotty, you are a character. You're the best kind of character. I watch you all the time.
We started talking, we dove into a bunch of different things, which is what we do here. But we talked about everything from sex life to relationships to your day-to-day to what motivates you. So what do you think it is that causes people to give up so easily, especially in today's society? Do you think it's more of a cultural kind of mindset that I'm not going to say we, because we don't have that mindset. Do you think it's been an established mindset that just trickled down to the generations before or to generations after? Because I heard somebody say something very interesting the other day. He said, we're talking about how my generation and your generation, or our generation as a whole, is just weak. And I said, well, yeah, that's why I do this show. I said, I'm trying to bring them back to a sense of normality. He goes, well, it's our fault. And this is a guy who has kids that are our age. He goes, it's our fault. He goes, we raised y'all. I said, well, down south here, we're a little bit different.
Right.
But I'm talking about overall as a society, because the trajectory that we're going at, dude.
It's terrible.
Horrible. But what do you think it is about today's society that makes people so weak?
Well, what I think in society and the culture we're living in, people are getting too accustomed to getting participation trophies. People are getting applauded for literally just showing up and doing the bare minimum. And I think people are getting comfortable with putting in the bare minimum. And so whenever they get the minimal result from that and they say, well, oh, I didn't get this amazing reward like I was expecting, so let me just fold and try something easier. Because we live in a time now where easy and accessibility is what everyone's pushing for. You know, we want the fastest, most easiest, most pain-free ways to get through things. And I think that's where we're starting to create weak people, because I mean, tough times create tough people, but tough people create easier times, and easier times create weak men. And I think the generation we're watching grow up are going to be a lot of people that are just waiting for handouts and waiting to put in the bare minimum and get this big extravagant reward. And I feel like that's really what separates me from the vast majority of people. It's like I have a very good understanding because I grew up seeing my dad working from sun up to sundown, and how we came from a life, not necessarily poverty, but a lot less. Now we're living a lot more because he's been putting in the work for past 23 years that I've been seeing him. So for me, it's like when I was growing up, I didn't necessarily understand it. I kind of resented him for it. I'm like, man, my dad's like not as present as I would hope he would be. But now that I'm looking back, and I'm like, okay, he wasn't present because he was grinding to make sure we had a roof over our head and food on the table. So now I'm taking that thought process and saying, okay, well, for me to build up and be able to provide for the family that I plan to build in the future, I have to put in as much work as I can while I can, because it goes back to the sustainability thing. It's like if you could find your limit and tone it back just a little bit to where you could now do that for 6-7 days a week for however many years you can handle it, that's what's going to build up the plush lifestyle that I want to provide for my family. Or whenever I'm sick and just need to take a time off or take a break, I want to be able to build up that cushion in order to do that. But a lot of these people nowadays are starting off with the cushion, so they don't have any reason or incentive to build up to have the safeguard or the net. So I think a lot of it just has to do with I guess our previous generation setting us up with that safety net and that fall net. But for me personally, it's like I don't have a fall net. If I fail, then where do I go from here? But a lot of people think, oh, well, if I fail, let me just scratch it and think of something different. It's like I'm eager to fail. I love to rush out and go and fail to where I can say, okay, let me reanalyze, see what I did wrong, where did it fuck up, how do I how do I remove and fix myself in order to, go after it again.
Yeah, and that's an interesting point to bring up, because I've always had that mindset of you lose, then you fucking lost. and you don't learn anything from it. You just fucking lost. But in life, you learn your biggest lessons from loss.
And I think a lot of it boils back down to the mindset. Like me personally, I believe the optimistic mindset approach is what's carried me so far, because I'm eager to fail in a sense. Like I know I'm not a failure, but I like to go out and try and fail. That way I can say, okay, well, what I learned. Because if you're able to look at your life lessons as not as a loss, but as a lesson, that's the biggest blessing you're going to find. Because I mean, we all get knocked down. Y'all going to have a good or bad day. But in my opinion, it's like, what do you want to emphasize on? What do you want to put more energy thinking about, the good or the bad? Shit, I like to put a little energy on the bad. Okay, well, this blew up in my face. What can I do different for the next time? Because in the reality of it, the good, in the grand scheme, the good of it, you learn something, you know? And a lot of people, I think, are not able to learn from it, so they're not able to recorrect. So they just think, oh, well, I'm a failure, and let me just scratch this whole thought process, and I'm just going to live a mediocre life. It's like I look at it a completely different approach. I'm like, okay, wow, this was, like you said, 9,999 fails, bro. I just ate shit however many times. Okay, but what is this last one going to do? What is this next one going to do? And I think that's what's going to have me lead me up to a really successful life, a really fulfilling life, because I'm so eager and willing to take those losses. And I'm able to look back and analyze and say, okay, well, if you could pinpoint where exactly you went wrong or where exactly failed, that's how you fix it. You know, if we just sat back and said, oh, well, this is a failure, let me throw it and chalk it, you know, and move on to the next thing, we wouldn't have fancy cars. We wouldn't have these smartphones. We wouldn't have these microphones. People had to fail to figure this shit out, you know?
Yeah.
So if you look at our country, this world really is built off of failures that people just sat back, looked at it, said, okay, let me put this screw a little bit different, or let me, you know, adjust this.
Has your faith been tested extremely since your accident?
Oh, dude, I had no faith before my accident. I mean, I did loosely because my family was, you know, kind of brought me up in the church upbringing and stuff, did the catechism, all that good stuff. But I never really took much from church because I never really engulfed and felt the spiritual feeling like those around me were. So I never understood what was the fuss. I was like, if there's such a great God, why do I not feel it? So I think for me personally, getting put through these trials and tribulations is what showed me that this is far out of my hands, it's out of my control. This isn't coincidences or luck at this point. You know, it's been too far and too many amazing opportunities have come across my plate for me to just think it's some you know, dumb luck. I don't think it's that at all. I know it's blessings. So a big turning point for me that really helped solidify my faith was it was about 3 years into my recovery, and man, I was dumbfounded. I was lost. So I'd gotten a phone call from my physical therapy at the time, and they said, hey, look, we submitted for insurance, got denied. The braces you're trying to walk in are just not practical for everyday living. And dude, it crushed me. It broke my heart. It broke my soul, really. It's like me and my girlfriend at the time were pulling up to Super One. We were going to go grocery shopping, and dude, I was just so broken. And I felt bad for her. There's nothing she could do. She was trying to, you know, help me feel better and saying all these positive things. And I was like, you know, I was just in such a lost state. I was like, you know, fuck you. You go in the store, do your thing. I'm going to sit in the car. And so I sat in the car like a little kid for a little while, you know, had my tantrum, and I just started rolling. I was like, you know what? I need to get some fresh air. So I started rolling down the neighborhood, and thankfully my friend Nathan from the gym at the time, that was the one who was really mentoring and guiding me. He lived in the neighborhood maybe a mile and a half from the Super One. So I called him. I was like, hey man, you home? He's like, yeah. So I rolled over there, and I was like, look, Nate, I'm lost. I've been screaming and hollering, asking if there's God, if God's real. Why is he putting me through this? Why isn't he just fixing it? If he's so mighty, why can't he just do this? Like, I'm ready to just pull the plug. I'm ready to just pull the trigger, you know, in this. And I'm tired of fighting this fight that has no end. And he said, well, he said, well, first you can't do that because then you're putting your pain on all those who didn't inflict it to you. He's like, your mom, your grandma, your dad, none of them put you on that motorcycle. They all try to take you off of it. So the person you're mad at has literally no remorse. He doesn't even think of you, I bet, on a day-to-day basis. So you killing yourself is not going to prove a point to him. It's not going to make him feel any better or worse. It's certainly not going to fix your problem. It's not going to make you recover. It's just going to end your chances of even trying. And he said, the day you let someone set your limits on you is the day you become limited. Until then, you're limitless. And I was like, well, like that quote really resonated with me, and it's been something I've been able to really help. I've actually put it into like my morals, I guess. Like my day-to-day living is kind of based off of that thought process. Like you could tell me all day long that I can't do this workout, or that I can't do this or that, And that fires me the fuck up to show you, like, you could watch me do it. And I mean, I don't necessarily thrive off of proving people wrong. It's a lot more of proving to myself that I'm not that worthless, piece of shit that voice in my head likes to say I am sometimes. It's really refreshing, and it's kind of like puts me on this psychotic bender of like that dopamine rush you get whenever you're kind of right. Even though you might have been wrong in the trajectory and your predictions, the end result's still going to be right. I'm still going to make a full recovery. I have no idea what it's going to look like or how long it's going to take. But being that I've set that on myself, like, okay, I don't have limits until I come to a point where I'm like, okay, maybe I should pull back from it. And brother, I haven't found that point yet. So I'm just going to kind of keep pushing until I find those limits. But until then, I'm limitless. It takes a lot of trials and tribulations, I think, to build the sound faith that I have. And I mean, it's one of those things. It's like nowadays people believe you whenever they see it. And for me, that's kind of what made me have faith. It's like I've been told no by so many professionals and doctors and people that went and spent hundreds of thousands of dollars and years in studying to become professional and experts in those fields. And for something beyond my control, because I'm a pissant that barely made it through high school and community college, if I'm able to prove them wrong, that's beyond me. That's way out of my power. And it's like I've come through a lot of things. Like for instance, I had a pressure sore recently. It's like they were saying, oh, there's no way this could heal, and this and that and next. And they were right on the methods they were trying to heal me with. It's like we did wound vacs and all this wound care and stuff. And dude, I was literally rotting away. I had bone infections, had IVs sticking in my arm. I'd have to go have my dad come run an IV antibiotic an hour a day on me for me to just fucking be able to live. And it was such a miserable thing. And it was like such a hopeless thing. I was like, man, I made all this progress for nothing. It's all going to go away. It's all wasted, right? I literally just left the stem cell facility on my second treatment when I came home, and I'm like, hey, I have this blister. And that's when it started spiraling. So to only put you in a thought like, okay, this dude just spent $10,000 at his next shot to recovery. He's starting to see a little bit of progress. Now it instantly got halted. There was a dead stop. I'm like, dude, what the fuck? So like therapy went down the drain. My health went down the toilet. My spirits were bad. My company was failing. I was lost, dude. I was back into a really depressed state of like hopelessness. And thankfully that's whenever like one of those things kind of just showed me the hope. So it started whenever I had broken my wheelchair. Like I was just leaving the gym, going to the store where I was selling my shirts, and I'd broken my chair that morning. Called the wheelchair, like the mechanic, I guess you call it, the people who distribute the parts locally. He said, man, it's going to be a 3 or 4 week wait. I'm like, well, what the fuck? What am I going to do for 3 or 4 weeks? I don't have a wheelchair. My leg's pretty useless at this point. What do I do? And I was so tired of the bed rest that I was already like, you know what? Look, it's not closing up. I'm getting off the bed. I have to do something. I have to stay moving. And literally, I was getting out of my car that morning at the store, and I met Barry Gidger. We were talking about him yesterday. So I met Mr. Barry. He was a couple parking spots over. He was in his truck. He said, hey, son, whenever you're done getting that chair, come talk to me. And I'm in my head. I'm like, what the fuck? What does this guy want to talk about? So I roll up to him. First thing he says, he looks at me. He said, that wheelchair looks like shit. I'm like, thanks for pointing out the obvious. I already knew that. And so he said, no, like your posture looks bad. It looks painful. I said, yeah, well, it doesn't feel good. I broke my wheelchair this morning. He said, well, look, go get your friend out the store, hop in my truck. We're going to go up the road. I got a new chair for you. I'm so skeptical. I'm like, yeah, this doesn't happen. All right. So I got my buddy out the store. We got in his truck, and we're talking, and he's telling me about how he's a veteran and, gave me his story and stuff. Super badass guy, too. But
KA alumni, baby.
But we pull up to his house, and sure enough, this dude had a brand new wheelchair, still had plastic on the tires. He said, look, brother, VA got it for me. I'm not able to use it because I'm a quadriplegic, but this looks about your size. Like, you want to try it? I was like, dude, yeah, because my chair is literally, like I said, broken. My posture was so bad, dude, that the pain that comes from that was so immense. So instant difference. Like, yeah, the new chair was a lot different. There was a lot different balance point that I had to learn. But and the moral of the story is, like, that was not a coincidence. It was not some dumb luck that I ran up across this guy that had a brand new chair that was built for me. It was something placed him in that parking lot of that day to go get his dry cleaners, and it put me there, showing up to my store a little bit late because I'm frantically trying to find the part for my chair, And I've had so many encounters of people like that. That is the way that they were placed along my journey, and the praying and the crying that I was doing the night before to literally be answered the next day. I can't chalk it up to anything other than God, really, And I'm not super religious in a sense where I go to church all the time and I've read the Bible and I'm super knowledgeable about it. I'm kind of ignorant in the fact, like, I don't know every single verse and every single, amazing chapter in the Bible. I've read it a couple times. I've opened it to read it a couple times. It's like I make a few pages in and I didn't understand it. But now as I'm growing and my perspectives are starting to change and my understandings for how life moves and how things work, I'm starting to be able to go back and read and say, oh, now I understand that metaphor. I understand what that meant, or what do I do with this information? So it's my faith doesn't come from a profound understanding of the Bible or faith in a whole. It comes from having very impossible, scary things being put right in front of my path, and then instantly, beyond my power or belief, they instantly get turned into something that I could utilize to help, gain more momentum or move forward in my journey.
Yeah, you see, I should rephrase the way I said it is my faith in people hasn't gone away, because I look at what you're doing and I say, in my eyes, that is 100% pure willpower.
Oh, that's all it is.
And then I got in trouble for saying this one time, but you got yourself here. Anybody, this applies to everybody. You got yourself to the point where you're at successfully. God doesn't pull you like a puppet.
Correct.
All right? You can go to him for guidance. And I still do believe there's a God. Like I said, my faith with a religious standpoint, a Christianity standpoint, is being tested right now. But from a humanitarian standpoint, I do believe that people get themselves to where they're at, where they need to go, because you're not getting pulled around. You're actually getting up, you're going do it yourself, and you're handling your business. So whenever people, you could acts of force majeure, like acts of God, like Barry, Mr. Barry being there that day could be a way of the universe bringing two people together at once. I'm not going to sit here and try to deny anything like that. But I'm saying from a standpoint of where you're at now, like how much further you've come in my eyes, I see that. I'm like, man, that's pure 100% Sam.
Oh, it's 1,000% willpower. And there's a quote that I always refrain to come. Well,
not to get you too much into the religious standpoint.
No.
But I was really curious to ask you about that question.
Well, there's a quote in the Bible that I think really resonates, and now that I've understand it and I'm seeing how it applies in my life, it's, I think, 100% real. It's seek and you will find. So it's, a lot of people are so dumbfounded. They're like, well, why aren't all these blessings happening to me? Why is it not me? And it's like, because you're not asking, you're not looking, you're not actually applying the effort. Like, people think effort is going to the gym and working out for 3 hours. To me, that's the fun part. That's not the effort. For me, the effort is going out of that and looking at someone and saying, hey, from an outside looking in, where am I fucking up? Where can I do better? Because people nowadays are so sensitive to criticism, or so thin-skinned, or a lot of people are. They're scared to ask for the outside opinions, or they don't want to get critiqued. Me, in the journey that I'm on, I need that. I'm not the smartest guy in the world, not by a long shot. So I'm not going to be able to say, oh, I know that this is going to definitely work if I do it this way and that way and this way.
But you can't be the smartest guy in the world, because I'm the smartest guy I know.
Well, then you don't know yourself, or you don't know me, I guess. No. But I'm looking in this journey, and it's like every time I come across this new obstacle, like either business or therapy-wise, I'm like, what the fuck do I do now? What do I ask for now? And that's when another person will come. It's like my buddy Jordy, for instance, with LA Drones. It's like I was so freaking, I'm stressed out on all this financial stuff for my stem cells, right? And one morning he come up to me. I was leaving the gym. He was coming in. He's like, hey man, we got to talking. He's like, dude, I got a really good idea on a fundraiser. And I was like, man, I don't know. Like, I'm so much in my head that I wasn't even thinking about, okay, how do I raise the money to get this next round of stem cells? I'm just sitting there looking at the big picture, overwhelmed, full of anxiety, and just spinning my wheels. And he's like, look, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And literally, he helped me raise a couple $1,000s, put me in contact with a bunch of great people, gave me a bunch of great insight for business, and it's helped teach and guide me in that sense. So that's just for one instance. It's like, whenever you think that there's nothing you can do and you're lost and you're trapped, ask. Just go to someone and ask. I can come ask you, hey, dude, I don't know how to work these podcasts to start up my setup to do my own podcast. You're going to say, hey, look, well, this is what I've learned from my trials and tribulations. This is how I could help you. So I'm definitely with you on that. Like, I feel like people get put in our path, when and where we need them. But one of the biggest things, I think, is just ask. And a lot of people don't ask because they're scared of rejection, or they're scared of the answer. Shit, not me. I'll go up to the most beautiful woman in the whole room, and she could laugh at me, bro. I'm gonna roll away smiling with confidence because I had the balls to go up to her.
That's right.
When none of these other fools were even brave enough to say hello, you know. And I'm doing that when I was working at Planet Fitness. I've literally done that a few times, and I made some of the awesome, you know, some awesome friendships along the way. Doing that, just going up, get out of your comfort zone, go ask that person, you know, regardless what the answer is gonna be, you're at least gonna leave the conversation with a little bit more knowledge than you had going into it.
I preach that all the damn time. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Wayne Gretzky, Michael Scott. I don't know if you've ever seen The Office.
Yeah, I have. I love The Office.
Yeah.
But no, that's the true shit.
That's a fact of, you know, we do talk about relationships, and we talked about weakness in the generation early on. I think the biggest problem that we're going to have in the future is those little devices right there, because guys don't know how to talk to women nowadays.
Dude, yeah, that phone literally took away the ability to go out and have a conversation. And it's funny to me, honestly, because I mean, I grew up, yeah, we had phones, but you know, in elementary school, you didn't have a phone, bro. You had to shoot your shot on a little piece of paper and check yes or no, you know, and that's what she was going to do. She was going to laugh at you, or she was going to hit one of the boxes. So growing up in that generation, it's like, it kind of gave you the honchos to go out and do it now. And I mean, for me, it was a crazy demeanor shift, like with the confidence, for instance, being paralyzed. I mean, now I'm in a gym full of, you know, attractive females around my age. My head, I'm like, well, they could literally go out and get any guy they want. But who knows? You might be the guy she's looking for. So you're never, like you said, you're never going to hit that shot if you don't shoot it. So whenever I figured that out, and I was like, okay, cool, we could apply that in real life now. So now it's like, I'm not afraid to go out and ask a woman, you know, hey, would you want to go on a date with me? Or hey, go to this business person. Hey man, would you be interested in let me show you a proposal for my business, become an investor, or whatever it is. And like, it's so universal in life, like regardless what it is, if you take the phone out of the equation and you literally just go up and talk to someone, you will never you would never be able to fathom the amount of amazing conversations and things you could learn and tools you could add to your arsenal by simply just going up to someone and talking to them.
You know how I introduce myself to everybody I meet for the past 5-6 years. Scott Davis, is damn good to meet you. That's how I met my girlfriend too. I walked up to her at the bar, and that's ironically the same night that one of my best friends met his wife that just got back from a wedding from. We met both girlfriends at the same time that night, and she's telling me the story. She goes, yeah, after you did that, I was like, who the fuck is that guy?
Women don't know how to respond to it. Instead of going up to a girl and like shooting some random whack as fuck pickup line that she thinks funny, how about you just go up and introduce yourself? Hey, look, I'm Sam Primeaux. Nice to meet you. Or like you said, I'm Scott Davis. It's damn good to meet you.
It's damn good to meet you.
So that way, it's like, you know, a lot of women just don't even know how to respond to it. Like I've done it one time, and they're like, hey, nice to meet you. And then it just kind of starts a conversation. Because I'm not coming to you to try to get in your pants. I mean, maybe later down the road, that's what I'm trying to do. But I'm just want to introduce myself, because you're going to hear about me. You're going to hear my name. So I might as well put the face to the name from the jump street, you know?
It's confidence.
You have to be confident. I mean, I know I'm not the biggest or the baddest, but motherfucker, I know I'm a lot closer than some may think. So I like to utilize that, and that's my leverage, you know? And it's like not in a sense of cockiness or arrogance. It's in the fact, like, I'm confident because I've seen myself put in the work that I promised myself I would do and got the results I was hoping for. And I mean, they don't all look the way that we all picture them, but whenever you go and you put in that immense amount of work religiously, you know, consistently, day in and day out, and you have those small, tiny little wins start to build up, at the end of the season, you're like, okay, this is something to be confident about. I'm not over here like just bullshitting myself, you know? Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people lack confidence because they do bullshit themselves. If you're not able to come through and make the promises that you make to yourself, if you're not able to go through and follow through on that game plan, then yeah, I wouldn't be confident either. If I'm lying to myself, if I'm not even confident enough to make my own actions, how could I be confident enough to go get a woman or to raise a kid or to do any of these things, you know? So like, if you lack confidence, go out and make yourself a game plan on what you want to do to achieve those goals and fucking do the work. Put in the effort. That's all you have to do. Put in the effort. It's not going to be every day that you're going to have that 10% gain. Some days, hey, you're going to be struggling to just get that 0.01% gain. But that's cool because at least you're not staying in the same place or moving backwards.
And not everybody's going to see the struggle that you go through. nobody's gonna know what you're doing in between the lines. All they're gonna see is the end product.
Correct.
Nobody. So don't people who feel sorry for themselves whenever they're in the process of doing something. That's where you shut yourself down. Nobody's gonna be in this room while I'm sitting here 24 hours editing a podcast. Nobody's gonna be with you at the gym unless it's your trainer that's seeing all the progress you're making. All they're gonna see is the end result. And people look at that and they say, oh, crap, like they're wondering what people are thinking about them this entire fucking time. The moment you do that and you give any kind of leeway into giving a shit about what anybody thinks about you or how you're doing things, unless you're off the wrong path, or how you're doing things if you know that they're right and you're doing them for yourself and you know you got to do this, you fucking do it. You don't hold it back.
Right.
You fucking shoot your shot. You go get what's yours. Life ain't going to hand nothing to you.
No.
You fucking take it. You grab life by the
yeah,
balls and
take
you
that
fucking
motherfucker.
twist them.
That's the fact.
That's how you do things in life. And that's one of the big reasons, too, I wanted to have you on here, because I look at you every day, dude. I follow you all the time like a lot of people do. And I said, that dude has life by the fucking balls right now.
Man, I try, because, I mean, shit, we only get one life, and this is my second run at it, so I can't fuck this one up. That's where I look at it. And, man, I like the way you made that point, though, because a lot of people, they like to psych themselves out and get discouraged, because I could look at you and you could have this nice house and all this nice, cars and all these good possessions, but I don't know the amount of work you had to put in to get there. So people completely discredit or don't even think to put thought into the work that this guy had to do to get there. They're just like, oh man, he's got the Rolex and the Ferrari. I'll never be able to get that. It's like, well, if I showed you the amount of fails I had and the amount of, shitty days we had and the fights we had, it's like, then you would understand. You would look at me and say, okay, well, maybe he deserves that spot. Maybe that's why he's getting all these good things. So it's like, instead of looking around and saying, or getting discouraged because this guy's getting so many cool blessings or he's getting this or that, it's like, why don't you go and ask him, like, hey, what'd you have to do to get there? That's my favorite thing, especially to like the old cats at Reds, for instance. Dude, I am the dumbest person in the room. I love it because, look, I'm like, hey, you've been in business for 40 years? Okay, how do you do it? Ooh, that's a nice Rolex. How'd you get it? Man, I seen you pull up in that C8. Oh, you got another one? How'd you do it? Because look, those people are more than willing to help you. They're going to say, look, these are the fails I made. These are the successes I made. Like, I found that, especially training at Reds, that it really helped me put that in perspective. People want to help you if they want to see you. Like, people want to see you win if they see you working. So if you think you're just going to, like you said, it's not just going to fall out of the sky. I know that no $1 million investor is going to come up to me and say, hey, look, I want to buy into your company. But I do know that if I ask enough questions, someone might have the right phone number that I need to talk to, And that's literally, I've seen it change my life drastically in the past year and a half being there. It's like, I'm the dumbest person in the room. I'm quiet, got my head down working, but I'm asking questions. I'm curious. And then in the gym, that's what really helped me build a lot of confidence, because people go in the gym and they get really discouraged. They look at all these people. They're like, wow, this person got a crazy physique. I'll never be able to do this. Me, I go up to the biggest, baddest motherfucker in the gym. Hey, how'd you do that? How'd you build this physique? How did you do this? And like I said, more than 9 times out of 10, they're usually willing to say, okay, well, look, this exercise did this for me. This did that. And especially in a sense of recovery, that's what I needed. Because like I said, I'm not a genius. I'm not a scientist. I didn't go to school for anything to do with the body. So I literally went into the gym knowing nothing. What did I do? Started asking questions, started meeting people. And then they say, oh, look, well, my friend's a paralyzed bodybuilder. Let's talk to him. And that motherfucker opened realms of vitamin supplements, training, all these habits and rituals and stuff that I follow day to day. And it's gotten me this far. And it's like, I get excited to meet new people because it's like, ooh, what kind of questions can I ask? What can I learn from them?
What is a realistic timeline that you've set for yourself, or the doctors have told you that you might be able to walk again?
Well, the doctors don't say much of anything. Honestly, I stopped asking them years ago. And I don't think I necessarily have a definite timeline, because years ago, like whenever I hit that really, really depressed spiral, the suicide kick, that was the main reason leading into it. Because I was like, okay, look, and give myself 2 years. By the time I'm 19, I'm going to be walking. When I got that phone call a month before my 19th birthday, I'm like, well, that doesn't look probable. How do I get a gun, type thing. But then it was like, well, let me re-look at this. So my thing in life, I like to look at my big goals and continuously move in that direction. But I learned a long time ago, direction is much more vital than speed. So I could realistically, I would guess, give me 2 years, maybe I'll be running a marathon. But am I going to be suicidal and depressed whenever that 2 years hits and I'm still barely walking? No.
Direction
Because
is much more vital than speed.
direction is so much more important than the speed. I mean, literally, I would rather be moving turtle speed in the right direction than moving as fast as a rabbit and going the wrong way. Because I see myself do that growing up. I did it a lot. It's like you want to chase all the fancy things and what your friends got. So I'm just trying to wing it and do all this random shit that I think might work. But in reality, I'm spinning my wheels in mud, not doing shit. I also have to realize and kind of keep myself in this thought process. Like, I can't rush the process because every single time in the past that I've rushed it, things have come out left and right way worse, way more setbacks, way more hurdles. So I'd rather take it slow and just go, like I said, in that forward direction. Like, I know I want to be climbing Pikes Peak. I know I want to be a company that's next to Nike, but on the top spot. I know that I want to have this amazing life with a wife and family and my Cadillacs and my big yard full of dogs doing what they want to do. But I know that it's not going to happen next month. And I know no matter how frantic or how much I panic and overanalyze the big picture, it's not going to make it go any faster. So I like to look at the big picture and say, okay, well, if I go to the gym and do these reps, I'm going to break down and get a little stronger. If I go and do my therapy, I'm going to break down and go a little stronger. I'm going to go to this business class and learn how to rebrand or redefine my message and grow my company just a little bit more. Or I'm going to go and do my research, my due diligence, and look at, okay, the market's buying these type of logos, these type of apparel, these type of whatever. So now I'm going to start going, okay, well, hey, Muhammad, hit up my manufacturer. How can we do this? And what kind of price point can we do? I like to look at things. I love to look at the big picture, but I have to constantly remind myself to not get overwhelmed by the big picture. Because like a lot of people, I feel like a lot of people struggle trying to succeed because they get overwhelmed on that big picture. And the big picture is great to have. It's good to have those goals. But if you're so like focused on that set timeline, you're going to kill yourself every single time. Because like I didn't go to school to learn how to read graphs and charts and stuff. My projections are way off. They're always way off because I'm going to shoot for the fucking moon and try to land on the stars. But realistically, I don't know. Give it 2 years. We'll check back and see if I'm on top of the mountain. If not, we're going to run it for another 2 years or however long it takes.
You're going to get there, bro.
Without a doubt.
If there's anybody that's going to do it, it's going to be you.
Oh, it's not a win. It's not an if, it's a win. But a lot of people get so discouraged on the win, like the WIN, because they're worried about the WHEN. You worry about your goals, like, cool, yeah, I want that gold trophy, I want that big Rolex, I want this or that. But I'm just going to worry about the time. I'm not going to worry about the timeline, I'm sorry. So, yeah, I think a lot of people really need to learn and adapt that mindset. It's like, stop stressing. It doesn't need to be next week. It's going to happen when it's going to happen. Just keep putting in the work. You have to blindly trust this process and grind as much as you can. And it's going to come. Whenever you're ready for it, it's going to come. What is your goal with making content? Like, why'd you create your podcast?
Because I saw in the direction on how things were going in terms of people who think like me not having a voice. And I wanted to be that voice for them and give them a voice again, to be the fact that we're the silent majority. Well, we're not so silent anymore. And that was my biggest goal. And we've attained that, and we still want to get more people out there. The best compliment I get from people, I love when people say they watch the show. The best compliment I get is whenever somebody tells me, dude, I was able to speak my mind freely and say what the fuck I want to because you inspired me to do so.
You gave them the courage
to be able to do that. That man gave me the courage to say whatever the hell I wanted to.
Fucking Trump, gotta make America great again.
I love that man. He gave me the confidence to be able to sit here and say, okay, there's more than one opinion in this country.
Dude, there's tons of them.
And we don't have to fucking all agree. That's the beautiful thing about America, is that we can disagree with each other and still get along.
You would think. I mean, these kids don't understand that concept. They're like, oh, we have opposing thoughts or opinions on something. I hate you. Like, dude, like you said, we have plenty of opinions. Why do we all have to have the same one? We're given free will, and so that's freely thinking. Freely thinking should lead to freely speaking. We know Well, we'll see what kind of free speaking that leads to, but it's not very often. But okay, another thing. Do you see yourself being the next Joe Rogan?
I don't see why I can't get there. One of the biggest things that I do love too is meeting new people. Me and you met each other yesterday, and I already feel like got a brother right here.
I must say, I feel like I've known you for my whole life.
Yeah, I mean it's a beautiful thing. Is I like connecting with people.
I'm the same way.
And people who have interesting life stories, and maybe I can learn something from them. Because I could sit here, dude. If I was able to just talk, I'd fucking have 3-4 hour podcast, dude.
Oh, I'm the same way, bro. I just ramble about so much random shit.
But I don't see why I can't get to that point.
Yeah,
That's the thing. I don't set limitations on myself. I mean, I'll do myself every chance I get, bro. And I'm surprised every time too.
That's how you have to keep it.
You know, I'm like, oh well, fuck. Well, how'd you do this shit? Well, I'll tell you that story behind the camera. That one, but I mean, yeah, it's fun for me, and it took me a long time to realize that this is what I like to do. I truly like to do it, and it makes me happy whenever I do it. Like I don't mind staying up all night doing this.
It's like because you love it.
Because I love it.
And whenever you love something, you're gonna outwork someone who's talented in it every single day.
It took me a long time to realize that too, man. Just took one little tell from the school to tell me that I needed 47 more hours in electives. Me to take all the assets that I had and throw it into this. And once you do that, you bet on yourself.
That's what I've done.
And I'll bet on myself 10 out of 10 times.
Every time. It's a good. If you bet, you can bet on me. You can put your money on me because it's a safe bet. I promise you. Okay, another question. What do you think about goals? Like, are you a really goal oriented person, or are you just kind of?
Yeah, I will say that. But I can also say that a lot of the goals that we talked about earlier, you know, the football thing, almost every single goal, which is a great life lesson for people, is going to be thrown off. Whatever goals you have set for yourself, if you had an exact date, like you said, it's not going to be attainable. It's not, because life throws more things at you than it gives to you, because life don't give you shit. So every single time that you're going to achieve that, you better expect at least 3 or 4 roadblocks to come in between you and that goal.
Facts.
But as if you keep pushing and keep going towards it. I mean, for this, my goal was to at least be monetized in 3-4 years.
How long have you been doing it?
2 years now.
Fuck yeah.
So, and I mean, now YouTube has taken away views from my videos. But I just fucking go at it. I just go for it. No matter what it is, if I want it, I'll go after it. And I could want something that day. I could want something the next day. But if I want it, I'm going to get it.
So you said you write them down. Do you find there's a benefit with writing down your goals and putting them out into reality?
That's like the affirmations thing that people do, right? I haven't done that since senior year, but I've heard it works really well for people. I haven't tried it yet because I'm just so scatterbrained, dude, to where, you know,
I'm the same way. I'm all over the place.
I'm all over the place, man. It's like you set your mind on one thing one day, you get that, then the next day you're not even thinking about the thing you just accomplished. Now you're just going for the next thing.
Well, dude, I seen the thing that Bob Proctor had put out recently, and it really has kind of helped me realign some shit. So it's called mindstorming. So if you think about the goal that you want, like say for me, it's like I want to be fully rehabilitated, live a pain-free life. So you write it out as if it's a question. So how do I, or what does my life look like in a pain-free setting? Or what does my life look like when I'm the next Joe Rogan, or however you would want to word it? And you write out 20 like things you could do. Like, okay, I can dedicate more time towards my podcast, or I could dedicate more time learning how to edit, whatever it would be. For me, I want to become financially stable and create I want to become financially stable and make over $120,000 a year. Okay, you break it down. I need $10,000 a month. Go through and break it down. And another one he put, I forgot what he called it. I don't think it was mindstorming though. Bob Proctor said, if you sit and kind of let yourself calm, let your body fully relax, and think about where you want to be. Like, what does your mountaintop look like? Like for me, I want to live a fully pain-free life. So I said, I am happy now that I'm waking up in my own house, able to sit up on the side of my bed and walk to my refrigerator and then go through and explain what are you envisioning. And the more that you envision that and you go to it every day, and I'll read it, I'll go through and read it. I'm here, I'm happy, I'm healthy, I'm wealthy, I'm not living in any pain, I have no, whatever. So the more that I'm doing that, the clearer that it's getting. I could tell you what color granite my countertops are going to be in the house I build in 5 years or however long. I could tell you what my what the brand will be built like and what the first shop's going to look like, because I'm starting to figure out like, oh shit, if I could write this down, because like you said, I'm scatterbrained. If I could write it down, I could at least look at it, come back and say, okay, here's my goals, here's my mindstorming list. What can I knock off of this goal? And usually by like 10 or 15, you're pretty stumped. You're like, well, okay, this is all the things I could do physically in my power to get this goal. Now you have to start digging, and now I'm thinking out of the box. I'm like, well, so-and-so would do this, or I can get this type of investor, or I could do this and this and this. And like whenever you get to that 20th question, you're normally like, oh shit, I just cracked the code.
So in terms of the, I want to touch back on the goals question. I wouldn't say I don't have a set of goals. What I will say that I do have is a set of principles and values that lead me towards getting to what I want.
That's the way to do it.
So that's one of the things I read in Coach John Wooden's book. He was the greatest college basketball coach of all time until Coach K from Duke. But it states rules of life. Pete Carroll was a coach at USC, and somebody had given him this book. And he looked at it, and it causes you to reflect back and say, I don't have a true set of principles and values, morals of my life, which morals from political and life standpoints, I'm talking about morals in terms of attaining things. I don't have a set list of morals and values on how to attain what I want to do. And that's what I have a list of, is how I want to do things, how I want things structured, how I can get there to that point. That's my definition on how to go about the goals aspect. Because I know that goals are hard to achieve, but they're attainable.
Right.
They're attainable. And you don't set the time limits on the goals.
You can't.
You can't.
I'm glad you said that, though, about the core values and morals, because I think a lot of people don't understand that or don't even apply it to their daily living. But, dude, that has helped me so much with my brand and just me as a person. Like, whenever I figured it out and it was like, oh, I have to write morals for my company. What does that even mean? And morals are basically just your guideline of rules. Like, I will not bend or break for these values no matter what opportunity comes my way. And I feel like if people would really sit back and understand and do that, like, hey, just write 5 basic rules that you would want to follow in every decision you make. And it's not really it's not rocket science. It's not hard. Like one of them, treat others the way you would like to be treated. That's pretty simple. I'm not going to do something dirty to this person because I don't want it done to me. And literally in business, I wouldn't do some shiesty business in order to get an upper leg. I would rather hold my integrity and just fall back or whatever, however you have to go through with it. But yeah, I think if more people understood and went and sat and really reflected, like, think, what do you want your life to be? And what are some definite, like, guidelines for yourself that you will not break at all, no matter who comes and what opportunity comes in front of you.
Yeah, that's a good point. Goals and morals and values are extremely important to me.
And forgotten about in this generation.
Very much so.
So I think that could even go back to your original question. Why are people so weak nowadays? Because they don't have morals. They don't have goals.
None. They don't have morals or values or a set list of principles that they follow.
None.
Because they're going to change up their principles and morals and values with whatever trend is up next.
Correct.
Every single time. It doesn't fail. That's why you see, I heard something great the other day. All these women that are, like sugar babies and all this shit in their 20s. They get to their 30s and they're still going. They're going, but they don't want to, find the right person because they're enjoying this lavish lifestyle of a guy paying them to go do stuff with them. Well, over time, you're not going to be the hottest thing on the block anymore.
Oh yeah, prime does run out.
All the women that are now living like this sugar baby lifestyle, they're going to come to realization, and the OnlyFans thing too, they're going to come to realization that no guy is going to want to be with them because you've been ran through by a damn near football team.
Oh yeah, if I could walk into a room with my girl and I got 3 of my partners say they hit it, she's not my girl. I'm cool. I'm good. I'd rather something that nobody knows about.
Damn, that OnlyFans thing is going to be a topic for another day because we go deep.
I'm about to say we could jump into some rant, but I mean, in pornography and solicitation or whatever it's called has been around for the decades. I mean, bro, you go look in the old Western books. You know, they still had brothels and all this stuff.
You got a stack full of Playboys in there.
But now it's so easily accessible, and women, like I feel like a lot of them base their value on that. But if you base your value off a $39, $99 a month subscription or whatever,
yeah,
how is someone supposed to see an external value in you? Like for me, if I want to become this big successful person, like you really think I'm gonna be shacking up and making you a queen when everybody done seen everything in between? Like I'm not gonna make you look like a queen. You make me look like a jester. It just doesn't work like that. I'm cool on it. There's too many women out here that there's too many options. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of guys don't maybe understand that, and so they go through and pick the easiest ones. And like that's cool. The easy races are fun because you still win, but are they really?
No, they're not.
After you win them a couple times, it's like
you got to find that perfect. You got to find that. You say perfect, but I mean you got to find that little perfect match that goes down to the qualities and values. I have written down the top 5 qualities I look for in a woman that they absolutely have to have for me to date, and the top 5 qualities that they absolutely could not have. And I read this book called How to Be a 3% Man, and it says write down the 20 qualities you want in a woman and the 20 qualities you don't want in a woman. Obviously, you ain't gonna get all 20 of those on each side, so you have to break it down to 5. Read those top 5 qualities you want in a woman, then go look yourself in the mirror. Do you embody the same qualities that you look for in a person? If you don't,
you gotta do some readjusting.
You gotta do some readjusting, some changing up.
That's a big thing. I feel like, yeah, if you're not able to provide what you're asking for, then what makes you think you deserve it?
Yep, and you gotta find that ride or die, man.
Easier said than done, but they got them. They make them.
I found mine, so I mean, I will say this: I am blessed with that because absolutely phenomenal. Find a woman that supports you with not financially, but supports your goals, supports your motivation, supports your passion.
Oh yeah, they always support it until the times the trials come. Then that's whenever you could see who's real and who's not. And I mean, and with the past one that we were talking about the other day, it's like that was the thing. Oh yeah, I want to help you do this, that, and the next. Did you really though, or do you want to watch from the sidelines? Because it's cool if you want to watch from the sidelines. Because I still have work to do, regardless if you're here or not.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a lot of people. They say, "Oh yeah, I want to ride or die. I want this or that." But okay, are you ready to put in the effort whenever she's only able to put in that 20%? Like whenever the roles are reversed, like you said, like are you able to provide that? I know without a doubt I am. So that's why it's like the next woman that comes into my life, like you got some pretty stout competition that I've set in my mind because I know what I'm worth, because I know what I bring to the table. And you know, right now, hey, it may not be a stack of gold bricks, but I do understand that not only what I bring to the table, I mean, I bring the table and the castle that the table's in. That's what I'm going to be bringing. So you better come accordingly and, you know, come correctly for whenever that time does come.
We're going to wrap this one up. Sam's going to be back on this show a few times.
I'm here for it.
We live down the road and shit, known this kid my entire life pretty much.
Right.
So, folks, thanks for tuning in to UnWoKeN, the #1 podcast in the world for young conservative media, and that's a fact. My facts, of course, the only ones that matter, and Sam's as well.
Sam with Inner Animal, baby.
That's right, baby. That's right.
We approve of this message.
That's Sam Primeaux. I'm Scott Davis. Take care, and I'll see your asses next week.
You sit down, yeah. You sit down, yeah.
Scotty, you are a character. You're the best kind of character. I watch you all the time.